Hello again. This is Jim the Keys bartender coming to you from the farthest southern reaches of the United States, as far as you can get. I'm here with Steve.
Hey, how you doing?
Steve from Key Largo Comics. We don't get to talk about that as often. Have you had any big, what would you call it? Any big finds you had in the comic book world? I've gotten in the last 2 years since knowing you. I've really gotten interested again in comic books for some reason.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'm always buying whenever I find good deals, and I've been doing a lot of selling during the pandemic. People, I guess, have nothing better to do than sit on the computer and look at comics and buy them. So that's good for me.
That and porn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was it yesterday on a show saying a lot of young people are desensitized to, by porn, and they're overstimulated.
Right.
By that. And because, you get to see things now that only the most experienced people got to see years ago.
Right.
Yeah, in order to see that stuff, you had to go into really dank, dirty, disgusting places. Right? And now It's at your fingertips.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you've seen it. I was on a Zoom meeting for AA, and I saw, it was my longest experience of watching gay porn.
Oh, my God.
One guy giving it to another guy real hard.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yep.
Oh,
and it's just all that, and I can understand how they say desensitized, because in the beginning, the people are, I'm not suggesting I'm more sophisticated than other people, but I realize the result or reaction that the person who posted it was trying to get.
Right.
They were trying to elicit a response that's shock. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I can't handle this. And then people dropping off the Zoom. Boom, boom. I can't handle it. I'm sitting there watching. Some of us are laughing. Other people are not. So, and then it stopped after a couple, week or two. People got to know the security protocols, how to handle when someone got on there and they didn't have a picture showing. And then, when they were just, when there was a video showing up but no picture, they kind of got it. I don't know how they did it. Whoever manages a meeting. Yeah. And I haven't been on a Zoom meeting in 2.5 weeks since I started going back to meetings here in the Keys. And it looks like, they're saying Miami-Dade is getting another explosion of COVID-19 infections.
Wow, that's shocking.
Yeah, it is shocking. No, it's not shocking, right?
What do you think was going to happen?
Yeah, and they're going to come, and they're going to be coming down here at the beginning of June 1st. I don't know. Because they didn't keep it locked down long enough. I don't know. I don't know what happened. And, there's people that aren't going to. There's people that don't believe it's that big a deal. I just spoke to my sister, and she said more people died from the lack of chemo and all that stuff. And so,
come on.
Well, it's going to be, I guess, by Saturday or Sunday, it'll be 100,000. And Fauci or whoever, Fauci said, suggesting that there could be 150,000, 160,000 people that are probably dead from it already because of the reporting of it and underreported. But we're not. This is not the COVID-19 podcast.
Okay.
Yeah. We were talking about comics. I don't even know how the hell I got on that. We were talking about comic books, and you said they had nothing better to do than to go online and look for comic books, right?
Yeah, it seems
that's
to be that way.
It's not an unworthy. Some people, your collections. I had some old comic books from the 50s back in the late 70s. There were 20-year-old comic books, and they were really different. You know, the concept of superheroes was different.
Okay, yeah.
Like
Definitely.
Adam, the original Adam.
Yeah.
Do you know what that was about?
The Atom, the little small guy. Sure.
Yeah, yeah. He was just a small guy who was trained by a big uh, homeless boxer.
Right.
Yeah, and he trained him real hard, and he became a good fighter. And that
Right.
was it. He didn't get he didn't get any
Right.
he didn't get any smaller. And there was a whole bunch of other ones. So they were
Yeah,
interesting.
they
They were
were a lot more simplistic back then, I guess.
yeah. If you people, I guess as time goes on with the concept of our science and ability to portray things.
Yeah.
If you ever seen one of the old Buck Rogers movies, the serialized movies, there were movies they used to from the to 1930s and 40s they used to show in movie theaters, 30 to 60-minute movies,
Right.
and whenever they showed the rocket ship taking off, going down, and they had a minimum understanding of how rockets worked, or even jet propulsion. Really, it had to be in the 30s because they really didn't understand jet propulsion, because it was like one of those punks that you light uh, incense lights coming out of the back, and the smoke
Okay.
when the rocket's taking off, the smoke's kind of going back about 2 inches off the rocket ship, and then start floating straight up. So
Yeah.
they didn't put a
Yeah.
fan in front of it. They couldn't figure out how to make it look like a jet stream. It looked like those rockets were going like 2 miles an hour at a very
Right.
the same pace as one of those little scooters you see out there, three-wheel scooters.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So have you been out since to any of the restaurants we spoke on? Was it
Yeah.
last Thursday or Friday? When did we speak? Sunday. We were Sunday.
It's been, yeah, that's Sunday, I think. Yeah. We went to a restaurant last night. Yeah.
Yeah. Could you? You know what? Your volume's real low on that.
I'll try to speak up. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't know if it's me or
Yeah, we
not.
went to
Maybe
Hobo's. Yeah.
if I turn it up. Maybe if I turn it up, cable output. Turn it up a bit. Here. Is that better? Let's see.
Yeah.
Hello? I
I
do
can
hear
hear
you.
you fine, so it must be me. So.
Okay, no, that's better. You went to Hobos.
Yeah, we went to Hobo's.
Okay, listeners from out of the area, Hobos is one of our uh, local favorites out here. The big venues in Key Largo. We're not like Key West. You go to Key West, there's 40 big venue bars, easy. And down
Right.
here you got the Big Chill. You got what's that place? I used to work on the other side of Jewfish Creek. Christ, I can't remember.
Gilbert?
Gilbert's. Oh my God. I don't know. I don't want to make fun of early onset. Yeah, but I'm just drawing a blank. I don't know. I tell people I just know so much. It's hard for me to dig the information out. But you got the Big Chill. You got Gilbert's. You got
Yeah.
Sharky's. For a pretty decent sized town in a neighborhood here, we in a resort community, we don't have a lot of different places. Got the
No.
Caribbean Club. How would
Yeah.
you typify the Caribbean Club? The Caribbean Club's kind of
A bar.
yeah, but I mean, Key Largo's older, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Key
It's
West.
a freestanding, old building. It's cool.
No, but I meant the crowd. It's
Okay.
older. It's older there. And then when there's
Yeah, it is.
and when there's a lot of young people there, it's because there's a reunion in town or a wedding.
Yeah.
And
it's more locals, older crowd, like you said. Yeah.
and the Big Chill's a little younger, but
Hey,
still.
yeah.
I mean, I being in my mid to late 50s now. I look at it, and there's hardly any really young places. Sharkies,
Right.
CJs.
Yeah.
That's any other place am I missing?
Maybe like Skippers or Pilot House.
Younger?
Oh, not younger. No. Okay, younger. Yeah, no, just Sharkies, I guess. Sharkies. That's about it.
Yeah, there's not a ton of young people here. I'm not really doing a great service increasing that. But if you do come down, there are people. Well, I'm at this. I'm at the Catch, and the Catch reopened the day after we had our show on Monday, and it was a pretty good night. We had a pretty good Wednesday. I was there all the day. But prior to
Good.
that, I'd have to say we had pretty much the same demographic as the rest of the town. We get some younger people that come in there. Not a lot. But then again, not, more so than maybe the Caribbean Club. But if you want late night, that's the place to go. You got the Caribbean Club, Sharkies, CJs, if you're staying out till 3 or 4, whatever time they
Right.
stay open. But we used to get, every so often, we'd get these guys come by on their skateboards. It's like 6 or 7 guys.
Yeah.
Like 3 or 4 times a year. They come in separately during the times of year, but they start out either starting up at the Caribbean Club, and they skateboard all the way down to Sharkies.
Really?
Yeah, stopping at the different bars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They go to the Caribbean Club. They stop at the Fish House sometimes, and then the Catch, and then Hobos, and I don't know. There's a long way. If you had to do one of those things like they do in Philadelphia, Wisconsin, or I guess they do it in Fort Lauderdale, where you do this bar hop. You ever do that?
Yeah.
We just started
Bar
someplace.
hopping?
Yep.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We used to bar hop, and we lived right on Fort Lauderdale Beach before we moved here, so we just, we do the bar crawl a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. If the places, not even necessarily big cities, like in Wisconsin and the neighborhood I was in, Philadelphia, there was if you were in the neighborhoods, you could go like a quarter mile, but then when you hit one of the secondary roads, there was a 2-block area where there was about 10 bars, and it wasn't downtown.
Right.
It wasn't down. This is the neighborhood. Downtown. Obviously, there's sections of the street in Philadelphia where there's 10 bars on one side of the street. But
Yeah.
yeah, but you just go, you walk down there. If you hit all those places, you'll be pretty much on your way to being inebriated, on your way to drunken disorderly if you're not careful.
Yeah.
But you'd really
Yeah.
have to do a lot for that. And
Right.
not so much down here. It seems like everyone gets their turn to get arrested. They did, and I've been watching. If every month you'll know somebody. I know you don't know as many people as I do because I'm a bartender, and I know the people that come and hit the bar. So, and
Right.
you see somebody, oh yeah, I'm not surprised this person, but everyone has their own gimmick on how they get their picture taken. Some of the people kind of knew it. You can see it in their
Yeah.
face. Yeah, there you got me. Yeah, it's about time. I know.
Yeah.
And it's not as funny. I mean, the people smile really good, but it is not funny because they really, they do not. I guess it's not their first time. Because
Right.
if you get it one time, it is a costly enterprise getting a DUI.
Yeah. I've never had one, knock on wood. So.
Yeah, in Monroe County in Florida at large, you have court fees,
Yeah.
all this stuff. Incredible. They get you. And there's just the nature of it, the way it is now.
Yeah.
You know, in the neighborhood, I got busted when I was in Philadelphia years ago. Yeah, I was a mess. They put me in the back of a van and bounced me around. They put you in handcuffs, and there's not really good seats on there. They don't really buckle you in. You know,
Right.
They just throw you back there,
Yeah.
and they kind of shake you up a little, and then they take you to a real grungy inner city jail. You know.
Oh man.
And they'll put you in a cell. I guess they were looking out for me. They didn't put me with the two toughest guys. There were two urban types, and I had put my cigarettes inside my topsiders.
Okay.
I had like 5 or 6 cigarettes and a lighter. That's amazing. They let me get in with that. You know.
Yeah.
And they let me go the next day after like 16 hours, I think it was. 16 hours,
Okay.
was it? It was like 11, 12 o'clock at night. Well, no, it was about 14 hours later. Whew. And I had called my best friend at the time. He never responded, right? And I called my father,
Right.
and he never answered too.
He
Which
never
I'm
answered.
glad. Well, I'm glad he didn't.
Right.
You know, I'm glad I didn't. I don't think he ever, for some reason, never got the message or pretended not to get the message. You know?
Yeah.
And that was the one time, and then they make you turn your license. This is back in the 90s. Early 90s? It was the early 90s. They take your license away for a month, and you had to go to like 6 classes. And the guy that taught the classes was an old guy. He was a little, he smoked a lot, you could tell, and stuff like that. And he was teaching the alcohol awareness classes and safe driving, and they was talking about the stuff. But on the whole time, he was dropping hints on, you might be an alcoholic. You may need to go to AA. This is, a good sign that you are. And a lot of people, they didn't care back then. They didn't test to see if you were drinking.
Right.
Before the meeting, but if you showed up drunk, they could definitely keep your license away for another week, a month, or not give it to you. So yeah, I get that was and some people were driving there. That was great. They were driving, but they didn't have a license. You can't have a license if you're taking the class because they take your license away from you.
Oh my God.
They drive. Yeah, they
So
drive.
they were...
I'd seen them get out of the cars, like a block away. Pretty ballsy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What did I do? I may have drove once or twice. But I know it was tempting fate because if you got caught driving, going to drunk school, then they take your license away for a year. Yeah. So it's like a really good, if you had a really strict parent, you're done. You're driving to drunk school and stuff like that. Yeah, I never see anybody coming on the bus, and there was one bus coming up that road. It was on one of the main drags in the Northeast. There was one main bus that would stop off, and there was no one coming from that class. There were, I guess, people getting dropped off or driving. I'm not saying everyone drove, but that's pretty, that's pretty big deal. I mean, we get people, they send them down here in Florida. They make you go to meetings. Yep. They make you go to meetings for, Christ, at least a couple months. And you got to get your sheet signed by someone who's running the meeting. I signed a bunch of sheets for people.
Okay, yeah. I've heard of that.
Yeah, that sucks. That sucks if you
Yeah,
had
that
to go
doesn't
and do
sound
that.
fun.
You know, you go sit there, and there's people doing it at 7 in the morning
Yeah.
to,
Ooh.
yeah. Well, you go to 5-1, and then you go in there, and you got to see the other people. And on the second hand, it's kind of weird. I'm not talking about the people in the rooms right now. I'm just saying, if Abby wants some liquor or wine or something like that, I'll go and buy it for him. But if I see someone I know, it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like people looking at you, go, "Hey, look at you," and I tell them all the time. I tell them if you see me buying bourbon,
Yeah.
that's the one thing. I don't care if it's a guy I know and he said that's his favorite drink, get him some bourbon and stuff like that. I may buy him a gift certificate someplace or something, but I
Right.
can't buy. That's the one thing I can't buy anything else. I mean, I could drink
Why?
vodka. I could what?
You just don't. You don't do well on bourbon, is what you're saying.
No, I like it. I like it. That was my
Okay.
thing. That was my one thing. But it's the one thing I
You
really
like your
don't buy. Not that I would drink it when I buy it, but it's like, why would you tempt it? You
Yeah.
know, I work in a restaurant, but you tell everyone just to make yourself accountable. Like people do it all the time. If someone's on a diet, they go, "Hey, listen, I see all these cupcakes over there. Keep me away from those cupcakes." Or they tell people they don't expect the people to stop them from having cupcakes. They're doing it so,
Right.
hey, judge me as a weak person if I go over there and eat those cupcakes.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
but if I went, I wouldn't. I would if I went to a place and I was trying to lose weight. Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. But I mean, you're supposed to have a little more discipline than that. But when it comes to an addiction, and you got to bring in all the guns you got. You know,
Right.
imagine if you're a guy and you're going out to a bachelor party and you go like this, "Hey, listen, I'm married and my wife finds out I got a couch dance. I can't go. Keep me away from those strippers. I can't go in the back room with them." And because I have no will. That's
Right.
yeah. It's whatever. It's like if you went to a comic book. Do you ever go to Comic Con?
I go to conventions occasionally.
Okay. And you never said, "Listen, keep me away from the DC Comics collection" or something like that?
Yeah, it
No.
can get out of control.
Yeah, if they have a collector's item. What was the highest priced comic
Sure.
book you ever seen?
Ever seen?
Well,
Or
at
ever
one of these
owned?
conventions.
I mean, I've seen, Amazing Fantasy 15 first appearance of Spider-Man. I've seen that. That's worth $50,000. $100,000 depending on the condition.
Wow.
So, yeah.
No, I understand that. I'm not one of people. It's an innate value, innate or ethereal value. I don't know what you call it. Innate value. Well, if someone desires something, I told you about the guy that dropped off the baseballs. There was a guy that he came in a couple years ago and he asked Holly and I if we bet on sports. And Holly bets on sports or betted on sports. She doesn't work there anymore. But he said, if you ever need to, if you ever want to make a bet or do you want to take a bet, I'll take the action. Right?
Oh.
And I told you about this guy. And then he dropped off some baseballs and he gave us three baseballs. And I go, "What do you want us to do with the baseballs?" And he says, if anybody famous comes in to get him to sign it. I said, "A baseball player?" And I said, "I don't think," and I've been down here 12 years. Some football players. I said I've seen football players, but I don't know about the catch. But I know football players used to come into the encore. Jeremy Shockey, Mean Joe Green, Fran. What was his name? The one that was Matthew Gifford. Gifford came in.
O'Hara?
What?
Yeah.
Frank Gifford.
Frank Gifford. Yeah.
Frank Gifford, Jeremy Shockey, Mean Joe Green, the coach Jimmy Johnson, and I'm sure there was other football players. And I think there was a couple like Miami Dolphins guys came in. I didn't know any of those guys, But baseball players, shit, I wouldn't know any of them. I wouldn't know
No.
any of them came in, not one. I'm more likely to know a NASCAR driver. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
there's like A-Rod, and A-Rod was down here.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, with Madonna, they were down here when he was with, I think when he was with Madonna or something like that.
Yeah.
And just like, but the guy said when he said, "Yeah, I know some." I mean, I'd recognize football players maybe, but oh, that'll work. And I said, so you'd get a football player signing a baseball. I said, I wouldn't even know how to ask a
That's
football
weird.
player to
Yeah,
sign
right.
a baseball. Be like an asshole.
that's
Hey,
true.
could you sign this? I mean, when I was a kid, we went to the Veterans Stadium, the big stadium in Philadelphia at the time, and we waited outside in the 1975 Phillies came out, and we had a 1975 Phillies came out that summer, and I was 11 or 12 years old, and we got them to sign our T-shirts while we're wearing them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, we didn't have any paper with us, stuff like that. We just had, we had to. It was 35 cent. 35 cents? 70 cents round trip.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, I'm old enough to have those ridiculous low prices. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The 30-cent
Me too.
hamburgers and all that stuff. You say that to someone now that's like, you're crazy. But it's not that much more if you think about it. It's not that much more. It's only like 3 times more because they got the dollar menu.
Right.
And when you say you ever hear that when you talk to someone who's like 80, 90 years old? And, no, you shouldn't do it. Okay. Abby has a bad wheel. She hurt her ankle and she's going to go bike riding. But you've heard that when a 90-year-old person says, I would go down to the store and get a burger and a milkshake for a quarter.
Right.
You see those old menu items.
Sure.
And my grandmother had those. It was $2 for a filet mignon back in 1930.
Oh.
Yeah,
Ooh.
1933 or something like that. Filet mignon. Shit. But that's ridiculous prices. You could buy a Model T, brand new Model T for $300. And
Right.
you were lucky to bring home $2 a day at that time.
Yeah.
But that's still
relative.
pretty. That's still pretty good. If you think you only have to work. Well, when a Model T was that, people were making maybe $12, $15 a week. So that would take you 20 weeks. So that's pretty much the same. Houses have gone up exponentially. I don't know where we got on the prices, stuff like that. But the comic books, when they first came out, they were a couple cents.
That's right.
A nickel, 3 cents back in, I guess, the first Superman and Dick Tracy were the first comic books.
Right.
Yeah. You get a beer for a nickel. Get a beer for a nickel comic. When I was a kid, the comic books were 75 cents or 50 cents.
Yeah, I mean they were like in the 70s they were like 35 to 50 cents. Then in the 80s they went up to around like 60 cents. So, yeah.
I still was drawn to that. I remember I knew it was too old when I was in college, and you see the rack in the early 80s, you see the rack of the comic book things, and then all of a sudden, you've seen all this crazy shit. Yeah. Meaning, you grew up with I grew up, Superman was the big guy. Marvel, Spider-Man came about in the 60s, right? The late 60s.
Right.
And then you had all the Marvel stuff, but it was all DC before that. I mean, there were other comic books and stuff, but the biggest comic book years were DC Comics. And then, so if you were born in the 60s, Spider-Man, you could get, they had the cartoon in the late 60s come out pretty much after the comic book. I guess Spider-Man was pretty cool. And then you had everybody come after that. But I remember I would follow it all the time, but I never got into the other than the Spider-Man TV show. I never got into comic book. Comic was Superman and Batman, and then I'm in college, and I may be drunk one night. I wasn't. I was in the Navy ROTC, so I wasn't doing drugs. And then all of a sudden, you're seeing like they killed Superman or something like that.
Yeah, the death of Superman. Right.
Was that '90s?
Yeah, that was like early '90s. Yeah.
We're going like this. Yeah. Well, you're fucking. You grow up with Superman, and all of a sudden, how the fuck you kill Superman? That's the way I was. I mean, I was still that. I was drunk one night. I'm going through a 7-Eleven, maybe to buy condoms, right? And I see a comic book, and it says Superman's dead, and I go, "What?" That was. I
Did
thought.
you buy
I
it?
mean, nope. I was buying condoms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Priority.
I had something else on my mind.
I hear you.
Yeah. But it still was kind of like, these fucking kids, they don't know how bad they have it right now. It's,
Right.
I feel like in the 90s, I was in my mid 20s. So I'm thinking, wow, they killed Superman. How the hell that happened? And
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
just,
Now they do it all the time. They kill off characters and bring them back, and it's just kind of not even that big of a deal anymore. But that was the first big one. Yeah.
yeah. Well, they got it right with Batman and some of the others. You have to almost change the laws of nature for some of these heroes, right?
Right.
They never really explained how does Superman fly. When he first came out, when the first couple issues, Superman could not fly. He could jump really far.
Right.
I think that was it. He could leap tall buildings in a single bound. So, I mean, if you could fly, what's the big deal? People say, "Well, I can fly into space," but if I jumped, I could jump over a tall building. And then I look at him and say, "Why the fuck would you jump if you can fly?"
Right.
What are you, an idiot?
Yeah. Exactly.
It'd be like, well, I could walk to the door, but you should see me roll on my side. I'm like, no, walk over. It's much easier. It's much easier to walk. Why would you roll? That's the way I view it, at least, and stuff like that. But they never explain how he flies, though. How just fly, get up there. Just think of that concept.
Propelling?
What?
Like what's propelling him? How does that?
Yeah, does he think it? Is it? It's more supernatural, and in the first movie, the one with Christopher Reeves, when he's turning back the planet Earth, he squeezes his fist real hard, and he goes faster.
Right.
Which, I mean, that's telekinetic energy. That's a psychic energy.
Okay. Maybe.
I mean, that is magic power or psychic energy. There's nothing that really, I mean, it just, unless he's magnetic and he just uses the Earth's magnetic field, and he just uses it to realign, and he takes the Earth's magnetic field and changes his body composition so that he's like one of those maglev trains over there. I think I may have just came up with the best. I mean, I bet someone said that. I bet someone said that already. This is what sucks about the internet.
What's that? It's all out there?
Yeah, 1 billion people are already speculated that, and I just thought I came out with a plausible thing. Someone had said that already. I'm sure of it, just like I said about every weird sex thing.
Right.
I mean, there's a guy out there. I remember this. I told you the story about the guy in Germany who he was. I don't know if he was gay, and it doesn't mean he's gay, but he advertised he wanted to. I think he wanted to be eaten alive.
Wow.
And he met someone on a chat room or a bulletin board or whatever you want to call it, and they actually arranged the thing to have that happen. Yeah. It's just one of the. I mean, you get two crazy people, right? Crazy.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the world where the most screwed up psychologist. That's just fucked up. And I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. It's fucked up. There's no explanation for it. There's no, and no universe does that make any sense. But any deviation, any deviancy
Mm-hmm.
is out there. Is out
Yeah.
there. Oh, anything you
Yeah.
think of is out there, and
It's happened.
people thought of it. Not that there's a. I mean, Rex Ryan, right? Is it Rex Ryan?
Yeah.
He made videos of himself with his wife, right?
Yeah.
He was a shoe guy. He likes shoes and feet and all that stuff, right? So he did that stuff. And that's not, hey, that's one thing. A foot fetish is a legitimate fetish, right?
Sure.
It's not sick. It's not sick. I'll tell you right now, a foot fetish is not sick. Right?
Yeah.
Now,
Weird, but not sick.
no, a foot fetish, ass fetish, ear fetish, nose fetish, hand fetish. I'm sure there's armpits. Guys like to have sex with girls' armpits. There's probably some of that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Guys that like really hairy women. Guys that like really, really heavy women, super obese women.
Yeah.
Guys that like to be shit on. There's cartographists, people that eat shit. That's sick. That's a thing. There was a guy in Philadelphia. I told you about that guy, Eddie Savitz. He did. It's people peeing on each other, vomiting. I'm sure there's vomiting things. No. I'm just saying it's out there.
It's out there.
Gag reflex, and then you go to the deeper end, the guy Ed Gein type, right?
What he did.
Oh, he was the one they based Texas Chainsaw Massacre on, and Psycho, and the movie Psycho. He's the granddaddy of all serial killers, sick serial killers. He's from Wisconsin. If you ever get a chance to see the movie, it was very disturbing. Very disturbing. But he was a real guy. And if you ever listen to the True Crime podcast, there's probably like 100 episodes out there and all these different true crime podcasts about Ed Gein. Oh, he was sick.
Really?
I don't know if he killed his mother or if she just died. But after that point, when he was by himself and stuff, he started killing people and started making like a lampshades out of their skin and all that stuff, and making clothes. And he was, Silence of the Lambs and all that stuff. He was all that stuff crazy. He was eating people and doing all that stuff. Yeah, and they considered him he was kind of sociable too. He wasn't like the guy in Silence of the Lambs, who's kind of like just staying in his house, his filthy house and stuff like that. You got to watch out for people that are either too clean or too dirty, right?
Sure.
If they're too clean, they're used to cleaning up after themselves. They know how to clean up blood. They know how to dissolve things in acid thing. They're just really, I'm not saying clean people are like that, but I'm just saying if they're too clean, they'd be excellent serial killers. Now you have the ones that are super hoarders. The hoarders that have shit all over the place. When they go in there and they find like 5 dead cats. Well, I haven't seen that cat in a month or two. Well, it's rotten behind that pile of newspapers you have over there, or the Good Housekeeping magazines from the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. You got a couple of dead cats behind there, And the cats are feeding the rats and all that shit. So, I didn't know how we got to all those things. It was about the comic books, maybe. Superman.
Right.
How do you get some? How I would love to see that thing. How we got from Superman flying, how he fly, how he die. There's people like being shit on. Guy having his penis eaten because that German guy. I think that was one of the first things the guy cooked up.
Oh man.
Yeah, his penis, and he was alive when the guy was eating it.
What?
I think he was alive when the guy was eating it. They made a movie. They made a movie about it. Who was the woman in that movie? Famous actress. Some famous. Chloe Sevigny. Someone like that was. Fucked up. And then there was this isn't as sick as that. There was a woman in the 90s. I remember this. She left a note for her family, and the note said. It was a goodbye note, and so she said she made arrangements for someone she met online on a bulletin board to be tortured and murdered.
Oh my God! Okay.
Yep. And
it's bizarre.
Yeah, I mean it's like if someone, I don't know how we got so dark in this thing. I know how we got so dark because I brought it up. And I apologize for that.
There you go.
But that person's guilty. The person, even if you asked and they said, well, the person asked me to do it.
Yeah, can't do it.
You can't. You shouldn't do it. You said the first thing you go say, come over here and give them the address and then make sure that you have the authorities waiting there for them and say, listen, this person came over here in order to do this, and here's the notes and all that stuff, and you forward it to them just to make sure that. But yeah, they're out there. They're out there meeting, and the thing I always thought, there were always crazy out people like that Ed Gein that happened in the 1940s or 50s, right?
Yeah.
Late 1940s. I think it was something like that. It could have been a little earlier than that. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it was after World War II. But with the internet, these people never got an opportunity to meet before. They in big cities sometimes. Underworld, like the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, and the Hillside. There was two guys that worked together, two serial killers that worked together, but rarely do you have, unless it's like a child of someone or a relative, do they meet? Do they get to meet? Right? With the internet, though, these people are getting together all the time. You know it?
Right.
And sometimes they're getting volunteers to do it. It's just we've got the Christian mingle, those things for people dating. There is a dark. I mean, there's. I did not look up. I'm going to do research, but there is a fetish. There's fetish communities out there, and the best lighthearted one is probably the Furbies. You know about the Furbies. You got to know the Furbies. You've probably seen them at Comic Con.
The Furbies.
Furbies.
Nah, I don't know.
Furby.
Oh yeah, Furby. Sure. Okay. Yeah.
You know what the deal is, right?
No.
Come on.
No, I don't.
They dress up like big stuffed animals.
Right.
And they have sex. Oh, you're thinking Furby's the toy.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about people that dress up in like teddy bear costumes and have sex.
Oh, okay.
You didn't know that existed?
Not really.
See, there you go. I'm sure there's all sorts. I mean, it used to be the cheerleader, the nurse, the sexy nurse, the sexy French maid, and then people just they got over. You know, they just got over stimulated.
Yeah.
Just going further and further and further. You know, people. And so you end up dressing like a big stuffed bear, big teddy bear. Yeah, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. It's not crazy enough for me to make up. It's crazy,
No,
but it's not crazy enough for me to make up. I can make some things up. People, I never understand why people have, and it has happened. Chickens, people with chickens. I don't get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, why a chicken?
Raising their for eggs or something, or
No, having sex with chickens.
oh, come on.
Yeah, they do. It's a thing. It is a thing.
How?
Yeah, I know. Well, they figure that they see the egg come out and they think, well, that's my, some people, that's pretty much the circumference of my.
That is awful.
Yep. What? That's awful? I know.
It's really
I know.
disgusting.
That's when you think of you think you're getting such a great deal when you get like a free range chicken. Right?
Yeah.
No. This free range chicken has an interesting taste to it.
Yeah.
You better wash out that chicken. I'm telling you.
Oh my God.
That was you, Steve. It was all you.
Yeah, sure.
Because if you knew this, I wouldn't have to tell you. And the conversation would have ended there. I'm blaming the victim.
I'm sorry, my knowledge.
I'm blaming the
sorry,
victim
my
right
knowledge
now.
is deficient in this area.
The chicken, yeah. But I mean, this is when you blame the victim.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on June 1st, we're going to be opening up. Are you ready for it? We got Memorial Day next week. We're getting all those people coming down. They're going to be bringing their friends down, right?
Yeah.
That have.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of people down here, even without the hotels being open up.
Right.
They were crowded, but and I think we're going to start seeing it on Wednesday this coming week.
You think?
Yep.
Before June 1st?
Yep. And it'll be busy for down here. It'll be busy.
Yeah.
Because not every place is open up yet. Like there's a couple places they say, you know what, we're just going to remodel. Why the hell not,
Right.
If you're going to be closed, they say we're closed, right? It was time for getting our place remodeled. So it's a great thing to do. It's like when
Did the kids do anything?
Yeah, they got all new bathrooms in there, painted.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. If you look at it, it doesn't look. But yeah, it's all. Yeah, you'll see.
Hey,
See when you come in.
Are you working Friday night?
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're going to come in.
Okay. Oh, it's still not open, Mrs. Max?
Actually, she just found out they are opening June 1st.
June 1st?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. June 1st. There's only... What can I say? There's only so long you can be out of work, right? I'm not that, some people can be happy staying home and collecting.
Right.
And I'd rather make a little less than go out because in the end, I think I spend less when I'm off. So when I'm working.
Right.
So I don't mind.
True.
I'm happy for that. So I'm back on my regular schedule. I told you it's going to be like I'm working Monday night. So I have Tuesday evening, Thursday evening. Maybe next week we can do the weekend thing. Maybe Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. Or you working Thursday night?
No, but I'm only off 2 nights, so I should spend it with the family,
Yeah. We can do the weekend, sure.
Yeah. I mean, I like to someday have like 3 nights off. I know it's funny. I just came back and we had 2 months I spent with the family. And came back. Yeah, I could do next Thursday. Same time. Yeah.
Well, let me know. It's no big deal.
Yeah, let's plan on next Thursday. Thanks, Steve. And
Yeah.
you can find Steve if you want to find anything. You want to find any. It's hard to find comics. find Steve at Key Largo Comics, right?
That's right.
It's keylargocomics.com.
Yeah, Key Largo Comics on Twitter, on eBay, all one word, Key Largo Comics.
Okay. Yep. And I'd like to thank you, Steve. I'm going to play some music. And if you'd like to message us or you want to support the show, just go on to my website, the Keys Bartender website, and look for sponsors and then go and buy some sparkling wine or Prosecco from Bellissima Wines. That's where they have, you go through the link there, and that's where we end up making a little moolah there. Thanks again, Steve. Till then,
all right,
I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe see you tomorrow night.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Don't hang up.